It is Bones, and let's go ahead and take a look at some custom work I recently did on the Man Bat Megafig from McFarlane's DC Multiverse. Now, a couple of things I did just on a whim. I did do a little bit of touch-up paint, and then the main things was I worked on the jaw and also the looseness of the joints, because that's been a big problem, the joints being a little bit loose. Now I do use a trick. Now it's not too hard, but you do have to keep an eye on it and do it right so that it works good. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I did. Now starting off, we'll go from top to bottom. Now the head, I did want to change a couple of things, starting off with the eyes. Now first off, the eyes, I do like that sunken in black part, but one of the things I did not like was that the little red paint that they put for the eyes was not really popping out to me. It just seemed like either you could put a little bit brighter red and a little bit more of an amount, or something just to bring out the eyes, to highlight them a little bit more. Well, what I ended up doing was actually putting some real tiny little jewels, those reflective jewels. You could get them wherever at Michael's, or not too expensive, but they do come in useful a lot of the times. Now this really gives them a little bit more depth. You can see the eyes from far away, and a little bit more terrifying look with those reflective eyes in there. Worked out pretty good. I did start off with like a bigger little jewel, but it was just too big. It just took up too much of the whole socket, and then I ended up on this really micro-sized little jewel, which reflects the light a little bit more. So really happy with that. Now I did paint it a little bit. I did a little bit more red, pinkish hue on the ears, and I just went around the purple that they added. And I did the nose as well. I put a little bit of red hue on the nose because of course it was all just one, brown chocolate color. And then I did the teeth. Now the teeth, I just thought something about them didn't, bring attention to them, like to the eye. So I mixed up a little bit of yellow and white, gloss color, and then just kind of faintly brushed it on there just to make them stick out a little bit more. And then I put a little bit of red, throughout the mouth, and that is where I came into the articulated jaw. Now I did articulate this. You do have to separate the jaw, the lower part, from the top part, and it is a little tricky because you have to make, two parts so that it fits in together. You can't just cut it and expect it to hinge. You do have to make like a circular cut. And then I did drill a hole before I did this so that the holes would line up. And then with a brand new blade, I just went in and carved it out, leaving it like a circular part right above the jaw that actually works because it doesn't mess up the sculpt too much as you move it, because it kind of looks, like it fits right in there. And then once you get it separated, you do have to shave it down a little to allow for the movement inside the mouth. So you don't lose the tongue, but you do lose like the back part of the mouth. That way it gives it free movement to go up and down. Pretty cool. You do pass a little plastic rod through there to give it the hinge motion, and then trim it. And what I do is I just melt it and push it in to make it, to where it won't slip through anymore, so that it flattens it out and then it holds there. Actually, it came out pretty good. I didn't really have, a complete plan of how I was going to do it, but it does work really well. I did paint the inside of the mouth more red with a little bit of bright red highlights around the gums a little bit. All in all, really happy with it. Gives it a lot more movement and a lot more life to this Megafig Man Bat. So all in all, like I said, really happy with it. For some custom work, worked out pretty good. Now coming down, I did the same kind of paint that I did on the ears underneath these wings to bring out, the little veins and stuff a little bit more. I probably could have added a little like purple hue so it could match the ears, but could always do that later on. It's not a big deal. But it does actually give it a little bit more life with that wash in there. Brings out all the detail. Now you do leave the back parts just regular brown, and then the inside is where you have the highlights. So that was also pretty nice. Another thing I told you guys I would show you how to do was how to raise the trunks, because it had like this gap right between the buckle and the abdomen, and you do take it all apart, and then it has like this clip kind of thing where you clip the trunks onto. And instead of messing with the trunks, which would actually like make them thinner and it would just be a lot more trouble, I actually just cut the actual like peg stem that it is and made it, you know, shorter to bring the front part of the trunks up. Now I did glue this, but that's mainly because I'll never be removing the trunks again. And it just, once you glue it and it pushes itself up, then you really close in that gap right above the belt line and with the waist, so you could manipulate them and it doesn't show that gap as much as before, and it doesn't really change anything in the figure. So really happy with that. I did paint the buckle a little bit shinier chrome color, and then I moved down. Now here's the part about the joints, because one of my legs was really loose, the left leg, and also both ankles, and actually the toe hinge was also really loose. So basically what you do is I use Loctite, which is like a liquid. You don't want to use a gel, you want to use like a liquid. And I actually separate the joint a little bit. Like in this one, in the ankle, I stuck in a razor blade, and it gives it like a little gap where the super glue could like drip inside there. And then you just put a mount in there and then just start manipulating it. Now don't forget about this, because if you forget about it, it will super glue it closed. So I suggest, you know, keep moving it, like concentrate on this process, like don't leave it. And even after a while, after like, you know, 20-30 minutes, keep moving it, because it will glue itself if you don't. So this one's kind of tricky, but if you know, if you've done it as many times as I have, even with DC Universe Classics, I used to do this, you could, you know, stiffen up the joint. Now, before, when you would just flick it, this foot would just move around, and as you can see now, it doesn't move anymore because the ankle actually locks where it's supposed to. It's just a lot tighter. Now, you don't lose any, you know, articulation as it is churning it or moving the ankle rocker, but it stiffens up this way. Now, on the toe articulation, you still have articulation there, but it's, you know, a little bit stiffer. And what this causes is that when you want to stand him, he won't like go so much forward that he falls over anymore. You see, he just sits right there. So you could basically put him any direction and stand him, and he actually just stands that way, you know, because his feet won't just flop forward and the ankles will actually hold his weight. So that came out pretty good. I really like the way it came out. As you can see, it works. I also did the knee, so now the knee as well locks into place a little bit better. And then going to the back, you know, these cuts in the back were not painted in at all, the back of his jeans. So I had to make a mixture. Now I did mix what? Like some matte brown, a little bit of semi-gloss brown, like a darker one, and then even some black. And I just had to keep trying to match it until it matched the color. Now it matched up pretty well. And also on top, my belt loops were like really dirty. They had a lot of excess blue. So I went in with a jet black matte and just filled that all in just to make them more crisp. And all in all, really happy with the real quick repaints, adjustment of the joints, and the articulated jaw works perfectly, and the eyes are like one of my favorite parts. So now he stands up a lot better, you know, without having to struggle with the ankle joints. So hopefully these tricks helped you out. You know, you guys can imagine anything you guys want to do with him. For me, this was a pretty fun little project that didn't take me too long, but now he's a hell of a lot funner to move around and pose, and his eyes really bring out, you know, a little bit more depth to his character. You could even add some washes and, you know, go crazy, but I'm pretty happy with this one. He worked out pretty good. But, you know, you guys keep customizing out there. I will see you on the next one.